She had dreams of moving to a new land. Elsa Margaret Juntanen walked around her small town of Susalami and said goodbye to a lake she used to swim in and the smell of the dark, rich earth in the springtime. She knew once she placed one foot on the ship bound for America, any childhood friend, favorite climbing tree or bed she could call her own would be gone forever. It was 1902, and excitement filled the air. Elsa's father, Peter, or Pekka, grabbed her hand quickly and looked for Peter Jr. running ahead in the busy crowd. His mind filled with images of his wife's face, Rita Lisa, and Thomas, his younger son, wondering he had made the right choice to send for them after he found work. What he didn't realize is that it would take 2 long years. Peter knew the passage would be an arduous journey, and he prayed he would not get sick, so his children would be safe when they arrived at their first American city called New York. There's going to be a lot of hard work and new language, Peter told his daughter, but you may just find yourself a good husband and settle down. She looked off into the distance and wondered who that someone might be. That someone was already making his way in a place called Upper Michigan. He had escaped the possibility of being conscripted into the Russian army. His name was Solomon Valentin Taihanen Acker, which later he changed to simply Solomon Ogre. The work is good here in these mines, he thought, and soon I will be able to buy a farm of my own. Copper mining was not a profession for the faint-hearted. Long rides down the dark, cold mine shafts filled the lungs with thick, acrid air from blasting, and thunderous noises would pierce the ears. He chose Upper Michigan because the copper mining companies were guaranteeing mining jobs at relatively high pay. It made Solomon wonder if he would make it to 30 years of age. But it paid too well, and it put food on the table. He had made it, but there was something missing. A pretty Finnish girl, like the ones left back home. Seasons came and went, and then one day a young Finnish woman caught his eye at the boarding house. He could not stop thinking about her. Her name was Elsa. Solomon married Elsa on April 17, 1907, and they would have 12 children together. Eileen Albertina, Lila Elizabeth, Helen Eleanor, Lillian Elsa, William Peter Alexander, Walter Solomon, who at the age of 9 died of typhoid fever, John Gabriel, Flora, who died at birth, Raymond Thomas, Alan Elmer, Leslie Edwin Hubert, Mildred Elaine, who died at only 22 days.
I took the place of a boy. I was with my dad all the time. I was born on the old Ogre homestead, and that was in 1912, August 14th, 1912. And that's where we went to school. Well, after we got old enough, I was 4 years old. I started school, and I was like 3.5 really, because I was 4 in August then, and I was already going to school. I knew my alphabets, I knew my numbers, because I had 2 older sisters that were going to school. And I was a little bit of a bite, I was tiny.
You were a runt.
Yeah, I was really, small. And those big boys used to carry me around because, they thought I was pretty cute and I was so tiny. So then when I was already up in about 5th grade or something like that, and we had to memorize, So then we had to memorize this Gettysburg Address, 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent, And what I got for a prize? I got a tablet and a pencil. I had to go up in the front of the class and tell this. Yeah, so you know what? And you know how what I used to do when I was a kid? I never studied. The first thing I get up in the morning before I had even a drink of water, I would go over this a couple of times and I would remember.
Solomon made his way out of the mines and started working as an overseer on the township roads with his horse.
Dad, he had worked for the Houghton County or Upper Peninsula Power Company. He had worked putting up these lines, electric lines. That's where he had worked last. But, he helped around home, you know.
The farm.
The farm, yeah, he helped.
But Upper Michigan was a long way from the Great War that would have already claimed over 20 million lives. And it became even closer to home when your boys were fighting in it.
I remember when the Eric Kinnunen, the Weisenen boys came from service, and they had a big program for them.
Where do they have it?
They had it at the Alson Town Hall.
Okay.
Okay,
The broiler
now,
was on.
What was on?
The broiler.
Oh, no wonder.
But I turned it
Is
off.
the fan going?
No, should I take it out? the
No,
pan?
turn it.
I turned it off, that's all.
Oh, no, that fan has to be on so it'll take this
Okay.
Yeah,
burnt
good.
smell out of here. Well, oh yes, I sure remember that. And I was just, wonder how old was I? Was I 6 years old then?
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, I think I was about 6 years old. And do you know that I had to get on the right up there in front and sing, "We'll never let our old flag fall, for we love it the best of all. We don't want to fight, we'll show our might, but when we do, we'll fight, fight, fight." And you know what? I got license for that. From the
You've been
teacher.
quite a paid performer, haven't you?
Sure, I said that will always stick to me.
You got up in front of the whole group and
Whole
huge.
group of people, and
Did they applaud?
oh my goodness, so I had to go back again on the stage and sing it another time.
And no one will ever know how much pain Helen felt 13 years later in the winter of 1935 when her mother told her,
Kyllä meillä on sitten pahoja uutisia sanoa sulle. We have
I have
bad
some
news.
bad news for
We
you.
have some bad news for you. And I right away thought, missä isä on?
Where's my dad?
Yeah, where's my dad? And then they told me, and oh dear, nobody knows how it hurt, I'll tell you. Oh, because I was really Father's favorite.
You actually, they did you this favor by not telling you, even though
Yeah.
you were.
Yeah, but that's why. Then I was so mad that, well, why didn't you tell me that I would have gone to the funeral too?
You know.
No, they didn't tell
But
me.
see, in other words, the church would not honor.
No, somebody that took their own life.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, though. They jumped to conclusions.
Yeah, right. And the undertaker had told them that told the people that he was so badly mangled that anybody would know that he was.
He was beat up?
He was beat up, and he had a tear where he had $35 of money, and that was torn. That pocket was torn, and he always buttoned it up. Yeah, and that.
Well, $35 was a lot of money back then.
But sure, he had ordered chickens, and he was waiting for them.
Oh,
That's what happened.
he had the cash then,
He had the cash. Yeah.
because they paid COD.
Yeah, right. They came on the mail.
Oh.
Right. So that's what happened, and that happened in February.
It was a cold day then.
Yes, cold. 1935.
And that brought a lot of shame on the family then.
Why, sure it did. Sure.
the papers read, Alston man drowns when he takes a wrong route while making his way to his home in Alston, 1:30 this morning. Solomon Ogre, 59 years of age, slipped and fell into the west branch of the Sturgeon River and was drowned before anyone could reach him. His body was recovered by residents of the vicinity later this morning.
It was never solved though.
It
the
was
murder.
never solved. Well, it was just that accidental drowning. You
I
know.
saw that in the
But
write-up.
do you know that the sheriff's mother made this liquor
Mm-hmm.
that was sold in this blind pig?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when they had left the bar, Andrew wanted to.
Well, who all was present, in the time of the murder? Was it ever cleared
Well,
up?
there was that Karpinen boy. What was his name? Karpinen, yeah.
Was he there?
He was there.
Andrew was there?
Andrew was there.
Puttarianti, they call him, Butcher Andrew.
Yeah, because he was so awful for killing animals.
Oh, he was?
He killed Weizenen's cow and heifer. And
How? With a shot him?
Yeah, they killed him. I don't know because
He was nuts.
And still to this day, no one knows how Solomon died that night.
And we used to go there dancing.
Huh.
Yeah, we used to go dancing. And old Peter Tiernan, he was a lot older than we were, but he's the one that really, taught us, pulled us on the floor and he said, you're going to learn to dance his way, So once we got bold enough, we were doing the same things that everybody else. We were good dancers then already. And I always remember that night.
The floor was full of dancers swaying in the light of a few gas lanterns. Helen Eleanor would meet her future husband that night.
We were going out and he says, hello, what's your name? I said who I was and he said, where do you live? I said, I live in North Laird. Where's that? I said, I told him where he lived. I'll be darned, a couple of nights later, here comes this old touring car, and there was 3 boys there, And we were sitting on the well cover at
Well, how old was he then? How old were you?
I was, let's see, I must have been about 15,
That's it?
16, yeah, 16. And so, no, I was younger than that. I was about 14, sure. Yeah, 14. And he'd come, and we'd see him always up there when we were dancing. And always talk, but he never danced.
So he came by in the car, and then did you
Well,
guys go out?
No, never did in high school.
Well, they pulled him.
Yeah, we didn't see him. But then when he got older, quite a bit older, he went to Detroit, and I had a letter from him. I was really surprised. And I was working in Houghton, and he had come to see me, and I said that we're working in Houghton, and we're coming home, for over the weekend. We took the bus to Pelto's car bus.
Oh.
So he picked us up.
Oh.
Yeah.
In his car?
Yeah, in his car.
He had a car?
He had a car.
Model A or Model T?
Model.
T,
Model
probably.
A. No, Model A. Model A, but it was all old car. And then, so Rabbi and I, so he said that we're going to go over to, he's going to stop at his home. Mother and Dad, okay, that was fine. She fixed us coffee.
Oh.
Grandma did that.
Aurora?
Aurora. And then he got me home, by home.
By Langdon? Well, that was by Nami then.
By name.
Yeah.
I was working in Houghton. He had come from Detroit. And he said, she likes me and cares for me, and that would I consider, sometimes getting married, and he gave me this ring, and I said, sure. So that's it.
Helen married Wilbert Toyovo Maki on May 16, 1930.
Depression years, we were married at the parsonage in Hancock. My oldest sister, Eileen, and her husband, second husband, The first one died.
You don't even have a wedding picture, do you, from that?
No. I'll tell you what, the only picture I have is when we were young was we were standing on we went to Copper Harbor on a trip.
Yep.
And we were close to my cousins, Candace's, John Candace's, and their daughter came and took a picture of us on this bridge.
I remember that picture. I don't know where it is, but...
I have it
Oh,
someplace. Yeah, here's my diamond.
isn't that something? Still have it.
It's 2 weeks' wages, $35.
Wow. He was making good money then.
Yeah, 2 weeks' wages, $35. And this is what. And this has already had 2 different settings. Yeah, this house. I was born in this house. This was our old homestead. I was born in that front room. That was our front room. But it didn't have these windows like they have put now. And of course a new siding. It had a shingle siding, this house did. And at that time when I was born, there was only 2 rooms down and 2 rooms upstairs. And there was three of us girls then. And of course then there was altogether really 12 of us, but 9 living, and now there is only 3 of us left. And that was Brother Raymond, and Leslie, and myself. So, and I was born here in August 14th, 1912. And then, lo and behold, when I got married, had my first baby, and he was born 1931 of October 19th, and he was born in that same living room in 1931.
Imagine that.
That is something very unusual, you know, that a mother would be born in the same room, in the same building.
That baby boy was Helen's first child of 7. She named him Robert Glenn. Then there would be Arlene, Yvonne, Gary, Helen, Darrell, and Susan.
I always remember that to have my own home, I was so happy. We were poor, we didn't have much, but anyway, we were happy. And we never went to bed hungry, and I kept a pretty clean house, although there was only 2 rooms. So your dad slept in a crib, and Arlene slept on the foot end of the bed with us. And Yvonne, when she was a baby, she slept in the buggy. So that's how we got along.
Running a farm and family was more than a full-time job. Daily chores could take hours. Cleaning, feeding, milking cows, and working acres of fields. It was enough to make a grown man cry.
Father, Wilbert, did not like to milk cows.
No, he didn't.
He didn't like animals.
No.
I mean, he didn't like to be around cows
No.
much.
But he didn't mind when we got the surge milker.
Right, but he didn't...
But he didn't really care, but he did milk, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but...
he liked field work and tractors.
Yeah. Then when I got a little older, do you know, I'd help at Grandpa's and Grandma's. I would milk those 2. And then I'd see Moilanens were bringing, Sophie and Bill were bringing their cows. I could see them through the pasture that they were coming through. That guya, that was a narrow
Path.
yeah, and then fenced on both sides.
Yeah, guya.
They called that a guya. And I'd go and milk.
Guya.
I'd go and milk over there, maybe 2 cows. Then at home, those cows would be later. The older girls used to get them. So I'd milk a couple at home. Sometimes I had 6 cows if I had milked.
Wilbert worked for the Houghton County Road Commission in the summer, and he would log in the winter.
Dad and Art McDowell were the first ones to have a power saw. When we worked out in the woods, we sawed logs and hauled them to the Hazel Landing, and that's where, you know, he sold his logs to this Worcester Lumber Company in Chassel.
Many times Helen was alone, trying to keep the farm running.
I'll never forget when Dad was working out in the woods, you know, And I had to get up. Toivanemi used to feel sorry for me because, you know, he knew that I was doing barn work. The light would go on
Yeah.
4:30 in the morning and like that, you know, close to 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go in the barn and clean the barn and give the feed for the cows and then come in running and wake your kids up. And I'll never forget when he left home to go to work on the boats. You don't know, every time Lila and I would see one another, we'd burst out crying.
Yeah.
Even we were in a grocery store, we'd look at one another.
Yeah. I remember that day, Mom.
Yeah. Oh,
But that was hard to leave.
that one, that was...
So hard to leave.
On June 11th, 1966, Helen lost another person in her life. At the early age of 57, her husband, Wilbert Koivu Maki, and she would never remarry. She lived on a farm until all her children were grown and would work at Bexar County Hospital as a nurse's aide. For the next 20 years, her gift of compassion continued. She then sold the farm to her youngest son, Darrell, and to this day the barn stands as majestically as it did years ago, and Darrell and his wife Sue continue the tradition with their two children, Aaron and Adam. Helen would then move into a town called Baraga, 20 miles east of her birthplace and home of over 50 years. And sometimes during the winter months, she would work and vacation in Florida. This interview is taken in the last home Helen ever lived in, the Superior View Apartments in Baraga. Helen was involved in many projects, always willing to help others. Whether making pasties for the VFW, quilting at the Holy Cross Lutheran Church, or visiting a sick friend, Helen had more energy than most teenagers, enough to never say no to dancing at night. But what kept her the most busy and never alone were all of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and the number is still growing.
She'd make that Finnish cheese and that miso, and she was a very good pasty maker, and she spent a lot of these later years here with the VFW, and she'd help out on a pasty making all the time to help the VFW make pasties. And it seemed like when the VFW would ever make pasties, nobody could ever get them. It seemed like they were sold before they were done. The orders were all made up already. And it was a treat. It was just a treat just to get one of them.
Yeah, she was with a lot. She still does that. Yeah. Very happy, very positive.
Did she teach you how to milk cows?
Oh, yeah.
Was that your dad?
No, my mother. My dad didn't like cows. He had trouble with cows and children.
Helen was everyone's mother and friend. She had a gift of compassion and nurturing that was infinite.
You taught her how to drive?
I taught her how to drive, right?
Wow, amazing.
And she learned how to drive on,
It's like fishing.
it was a Willys that we had, and it was stick shift. And on the back roads,
So am I.
the back roads
in between.
up here in North Laird is where she learned how to drive.
How do you make
Funny
it
that
in
her
between
son taught her
marshmallow?
to drive, you know?
And
How do you make it in
stranger
between
yet
marshmallow?
was, my father didn't even know that was happening.
What's your name now? Tell us. Rita? Rita what?
Mother, grandmother, sister, wife, cousin, niece and friend Helen Eleanor Oger Maki was indeed a special lady. On February 26th, Helen Maki died peacefully. As she slipped away quietly, she was not alone. In her lifetime, the first transcontinental phone call would be made, 5 major U.S. wars would be fought, antibiotics would be invented, women in the U.S. would be able to vote, and ships would bring many other hard-working people to a place called Upper Michigan. Like her father and mother, who traveled so long ago, who had a dream of a new life and a new beginning.
The children of today, I would like to see them respect the older people. and respect everybody. Respect their teachers, for one thing. And then, of course, that includes even my grandchildren, because all the others are older and they have had to learn to respect everybody. When we were young, we couldn't say in Finnish, sinä. That was, we had to say te. So that was really something. We respected our elders.
This country she loved so much is where she was born and raised and died. No words can explain how many lives she has touched or how much she will be missed. Northern Michigan will never be the same without a Finnish lady named Helen Eleanor Ogre Maki, a woman of great courage, strength, and beauty.
Just wait and see. I remember those words and how they chided me. When patient was the hardest thing to be. Because we can't make up for the time that we've lost. I must let these memories provide. No little girl can stop the world to wait for me. I should have known more at your age and still the days, the years gone. But in that space of time it takes so long. Because we can make up for the time that we've lost. I must let these memories provide. No little girl can stop the world to wait for me. Every time I say goodbye, you're frozen in my mind as the child that you never will be. You never will be gone. You'll never be more to you than a stranger could be. Every time I say goodbye, you're frozen in my mind with the child that you never will be. You never will be again. Every time I say goodbye, you're frozen in my mind as the child that you never will be again.
I wake up in the woodshed with 2,000 empty beers. I came looking for a full one, and I must have passed out here. I crawl out through the door and I run smack into a buck. He was eating all the apples from the back of Rudy's truck. I grab him by the back legs and he drags me through the snow. But when he jumps up